Hello, this is Kevin Doheny, also known as the Wizard, from Sound Mind and Body Productions and Best Technology Partners. In the course of working with people on their website and multimedia projects, I get asked a lot of questions about websites. Rather than put up pages and pages of information on my sites about the subject, I thought it would be much quicker and more enjoyable for you if I distilled the information and presented just the essentials and gave answers to those commonly asked questions here in a video format. Every presentation should have some goals, and my goals in doing this are firstly to inform you. This is a hugely complex subject, but we're not going to tackle the whole thing. As Einstein said, if you can't explain something simply, you don't understand it well enough. So we're going to take a very high-level view and save the details for another day. Secondly, my goal is to empower you. Knowledge is power, and so by taking these things and breaking them down and presenting them in a simple approach, it empowers you. And lastly, to possibly co-create some future project with you. This is not, though, a sales presentation, so it's just to inform you, and if we do business in the future, that's super. Now you may be wondering who I am and what my background is, and I've had a lot of dealing with computers since I got involved with them back in the late 70s, back when I say computers were real computers and programmers were real programmers. These are just some of the systems that I've run and managed and maintained over the years. The one in the upper right-hand corner was actually in my computer room in my basement at one time. And now it's somewhere out in Colorado, destined for some computer technology museum. No matter when I take a career test, it seems like it always says that my top career area is engineering. Being able to think outside the box, take things apart, put them back together again, and so forth. As an engineer type, I'm always looking for ways to improve things, raise the bar, find solutions faster, cheaper, and better. I love doing the impossible. And as Einstein said, things should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. Another test that I took was over on eBay, where it said that I am a uniquely green builder. What others think of as chores, I look forward to, whether it's ripping out a bathroom wall, working on a car, or whatever the case may be. If you're interested in learning more about the various things that I've been up to, you can, of course, go over to www.kevindoheny.com and read about some of the fun that I've been having all these years. But now let's turn the attention to you. Think for a moment, why are you here and where are you going? Perhaps you're wanting to open your own business, perhaps set up a website for some purpose, some organization, or whatever it is. But think what your goals are in listening to this presentation. You know, websites can do lots of different things. They can inform people. Maybe it's a blog site, content, e-brochure, calendar of events, whatever it is, it's giving people some information on something. It can also be a place of selling and e-commerce. Perhaps it does scheduling. I know some therapists who only have one-person offices themselves and no secretary to take their calls. They put their schedule out on the website so that people know when they have times available to be seen. And mostly the website promotes you as the expert in your field and causes a visitor to want what you have to offer. And so when you go out visiting websites on the internet, why do you visit a website? Well, there could be many reasons. Could be for shopping, purchases, and e-commerce. Might be also that you're doing some research, gathering some information on a particular subject. Perhaps you're also giving other people assistance by providing your knowledge. It might also be things like entertainment, where you're watching a movie or playing a game. Perhaps it's having to do with banking or finance. Lots of people are paying their bills on the internet these days, saving some stamps and mail. And then speaking of mail, there's communication and email. That's of course a big deal on the internet these days. And then who can ignore the social media, the connections and networking that's going on, which is absolutely huge. And education. More and more colleges are teaching over the internet. It's not for everybody, but for those people who are geographically in a location where they maybe can't attend a college, this can be a great thing where they can stay home with the kids and get an education as well. And perhaps there's other reasons you can think of. So, do you have any of these to offer to the world? If so, you may need a website. And so what are the types of websites that are often put up? Well, the simplest and easiest to put up is a blog site. Blog is short for weblog. And it was started with people just recording their thoughts about things, their experiences. They like to write. And so they put up these weblogs. Then there's a turnkey system. These are very simple websites. You can often do them yourself. The features are limited. You basically pick a background color, basics of how you want the site to look, and there you go. There's certainly a lot of limitations on what can be done, but they can usually be put up pretty cheaply and easily. And then there's another type called the Content Management System, or CMS. And these are kind of between the turnkey sites and the custom sites. These are where the site can be tailored to a degree. It's fairly easy to change. You don't need a whole lot of technical expertise to work with them, but they are certainly more complex than the turnkey sites. And then there's the custom site where pretty much anything can be done. So which one of those is right for you depends on, well, what you want to use it for right now. And how much you want to do yourself and how technical you are. And patient as well, because these things are going to take some time. Budget is certainly an issue, both time as well as money. And the ultimate goals for the site a year or two or whatever down the road. It's important that you choose wisely, because starting out on one type of site, it may not convert well into another type of site. And although you can lift off, say, the text from a blog, you're not going to convert directly from a blog site to a full custom site. So have an idea where you want to go before you start down the road. But no matter what type of site you go with, they all have something in common. A website that doesn't get any visitors to it is worthless. And a website which gets visitors but doesn't do what you built it for is nearly worthless. So how are people going to find your website? Well, one of the ways is these quick response codes shown over there on the right. You've seen these squares here and there and perhaps ads and various things. These can drive people to your website, and it depends on the site and what you're doing, but it's probably not for a site that's just starting out. It's mostly for people who have the cell phones that can scan these codes and then pull up something specific on your site. They require having a middle person involved or middle site involved, which handles when you scan that code, it goes through them and then directs somebody over to your site. So you're going to be paying somebody to handle those codes. So it's probably not what you're going to drive people to your site with just off the bat. Another way to get people to your site is to tell them about it. Say, hey, go over to my website and check it out. Well, that's great if you're speaking to large numbers of people, but otherwise probably not going to get a whole lot of people there that way. There might be a URL printed on some material, whether that's advertising material or whatever it might be. There's something that's going to direct people over to your website to find out more about you, your products, services, or whatever it might be. And then there's the search engines. That's a big one, and that can work in either pay per click or in search results. People, though, have to find your site. They have to be searching for what it is you're offering. So whatever that might be. So if you're coming out with a brand new product or service that no one has ever heard of before, you're going to have to link it to some search terms that someone might be searching on, because otherwise, how would they know to find you? And then there's clicking on a link somewhere on the internet and going over to your site. This is a big one, because those links could be put up anywhere. They could be in an email. They could be on somebody else's site. They could be in a directory. And we're going to look at a mind map here in just a little bit of all the different ways to drive people to your site. So largely, people are going to get to your site from somewhere else on the internet. So that site that we're going to be putting up does not exist by itself. They call it the World Wide Web for a reason, because everything's linked to and interrelated to everything else. You very much want links to your site in places where somebody might be interested in what your site's about. So whether that's a directory or somebody else's site, whatever it might be, you want those links all over the internet pointing to your site. And those aren't just going to happen. You're going to have to do a little bit of work to get those out there. And you want to link from your site to other relevant places. This makes your site more appealing to search engines and also to your visitors, so that if you're talking about a particular subject, you can refer them to somewhere else to find more on that subject. You don't have to copy and paste everything about a particular subject into your site. You can just keep your site to things relevant to your visitors and then direct them to other places where they can find more information. Well, here's a fairly intimidating mind map with your website in the middle, and everything is pointing and directing people into your site. So let's take a look at some of these things. Start in the lower right hand there with press releases. Press releases are good, and they can be published in various places around the internet, whether that's some local newspaper or whatever it might be, and those things can all direct people back to your site. Video marketing is great. There's YouTube, Vimeo, and so forth, and all those things can point people over to your site. One thing I'll say about video, though, is if you're going to do it well. Do it professional. If your site is a good professional looking site, you don't want some video there where someone's holding a jerky camera and the lighting is all wrong and so forth. Make sure that the video is a good, well-produced video. We all know the videos I'm talking about to be avoided. We've all seen them out there. So make sure that your video is well-produced and represents you well. And if you need help with that, let me know. Article marketing is huge. Again, you never know what somebody's going to be looking for. When up comes your article, they read it, they go, wow, this person really knows their stuff. And then they click on the link and boom, they're over onto your site. So get your articles, just little articles, a paragraph or two is all that's needed, just some little thing sitting out there on the internet. You can put them up there for free on many of these article sites, and they direct people over to your website when somebody finds that article in a search. There's, of course, many directories that you can get yourself put in, and those are sometimes paid, sometimes free. But again, any place you can put yourself out on the internet which points people to your site is a good thing. Over on the left there, social media. Absolutely huge these days. It's probably the biggest marketing piece there is today, and hopefully you have a presence on at least some of those places, such as LinkedIn, Facebook, in addition to your site. All those social media places can drive people to your site like nothing else. There's, of course, blog commenting. That's a good thing. Comment on other people's blogs. Get them over to your site. And then social bookmarking. Those are popping up more and more, and so forth. So all these things where you can put your site, your name, gets people over to where you want them to be on your site. Internet marketing is also huge. Now, you don't have to take all this in today, but just be aware of it. Be aware of all these various things: search engine optimization, email marketing, social media, understanding your business, testing and measuring how things are going with whether people are getting to your site, writing, all these things. Internet marketing is a very multifaceted piece, and we may not even think about it a lot of the time, but we know that it's out there. When we look at all this stuff, we're go, oh yeah, I know about eBay, I know about Amazon, I know about Twitter, YouTube, yep, all these things. But we don't remember oftentimes that all these things need to be worked. We need to be having a presence, at least somewhat, on most of these things. And again, getting people to find out about you. So a well-done website should provide people with answers, not leave them going, what? I still got to get in touch with them. Website should answer as many questions as possible. It should answer who you are, and who your target audience might be. Perhaps you're a therapist and you only work with a particular type of client. And should answer about what? What are you selling? What are you offering? What's your practice? Tell people about it. What results can be expected? Anticipate and answer all their questions. Answer the when question. When are you available? When do you take appointments? When can they get in touch with you? When should they call? So answer all the time-related questions. And the geographical questions of where. Where is your place of business? Where do you see clients? And why? Why are you doing this? People are interested. And how? How do they get in touch with you? How do they make a purchase? Again, answer all these questions. Make it easy for them. So, then what are the steps to creating a website? Well, the first one is to register the domain. And this can be done in many places, many domain registration sites available, and they cost about $10 per year to register your domain. If you register it for multiple years, you can maybe get a little discount on that price. Some people, they want to add in various things. Yeah, you can or not, it's up to you, but basically $10 per year registers the domain. Now this also raises a question of, well, what do you call your domain? Well, I would recommend, as for good results with the search engines, that you use words. Avoid abbreviation, avoid letters. I could call my website SMBP for Sound Mind and Body Productions. But SMBP really doesn't exist in anyone's consciousness, apart from mine, and nobody's going to be searching on SMBP, unlike things like NBC or CNN. CNN is cable news network, but people maybe don't even think of it as cable news network anymore. They just think of it as CNN. So avoid the abbreviations, avoid the letters and such, unless it's really something that people understand. Words are good. Then you'll need to decide where your site is going to be hosted. Now you can put up your own web server, of course, if that's the thing you want to do, but you probably won't do that. You'll probably host your site on some other server which is supporting many other sites besides your own. The cost per year to do that should probably not exceed $120 per year maximum, unless you're doing something with a dedicated IP address for your site and some other fancy add-ons. But $120 per year would get you good hosting, and it's certainly enough services for most any site you would want to host there. I would also advise you in choosing a hosting provider to search out a professional one. There's hosting companies out there that service just anyone and anything. Places like GoDaddy, I'm not too fond of them. I tend to stick with a professional site called Webmasters. There's certainly others as well. Site5 seems pretty good. But you want somebody who's reputable, because if anyone and their brother can put up a site there and be tossing spam out of those servers, pretty soon the server gets blacklisted and your website gets blacklisted as well, because your website is coming off the same server. So make sure that you go with a reputable company that actually checks out their clients and doesn't just put up anybody there. After you get your site hosting, then you can set up your email accounts. That's a pretty straightforward deal, but note, please do not put unencoded email on your site. Don't put it anywhere on the internet. If you're putting something out there on the internet, just put your site address, not your email address. Reason being that there's these programs that crawl around the internet reading every website and looking for email addresses. They then report back, and pretty soon you're getting more spam than you ever imagined possible. So there's ways to encode and hide your email address on your website so that when people hold the mouse over it or whatever, it pops up and various things. Those things that crawl around looking for email addresses won't find those encoded emails on your site. But if you just spell it out there and say, contact me at my email at my site, you can guarantee you're going to be getting hundreds and thousands of spam messages in no time at all. So unless you want to change your email all the time, don't put unencoded emails out anywhere on the internet. The next step is to design and construct the site, and it takes time. Don't expect your site's going to be up in a week, because it takes time to write the content, get the photos up there, and all stuff. If it's any type of a well-designed, well-fleshed out site, it takes time. So please allow yourself that time. Start now so that you're not pressed for time later on. And then continue to tune the site forever. The search engines like sites that are continually updated with fresh information. So you'll want to keep updating your pages from time to time as you offer new products and services and so on. So keep your site fresh. Here's a key thing. Graphics, multimedia, and interactivity, they're all really cool. But remember that content is king. You can put a video up on your site. That's wonderful. But a search engine can't search the video for content. So remember that if you're searching, it's going to look at the words you've written on your site. Make sure they're searchable words, not just built into a picture. I've seen websites put up where people make these beautiful pictures on Photoshop, and they encode the words right into the picture, and then they put up that picture on the website, and there's nothing searchable there. It's just a photo. None of the words are searchable. It's just part of the picture. So make sure that whatever you put up, that you have good content there which the search engines can lock onto. Everything else is really cool, but you got to have content. Now, pricing. People always ask about the pricing. They say, well, what's this going to cost? And I just say it depends. It depends on a number of things. So if you are coming to me and asking about pricing, it depends on whether you're hosting at this company that I use, Webmasters, or whether you're at another provider, whether the type of site is CMS or blog, or what is it. Am I familiar with it? The number of pages in the site, tailoring a template or totally customized, number of images in the site. Images oftentimes have to be optimized for the web use. Condition of the images, whether it's an embedded video, store, shopping cart, whether you're using PayPal. How are your delivery methods when somebody purchases something? How many email addresses, and how is the email access? Whether you've got sound and music on your pages, whether there's animation on your site, how much I'm doing to design and build the site, and how much you're doing, how many revisions we go through before the site is finally launched. Now there's mobile considerations with all the mobile devices out there, so see if your website is friendly with those. Whether there's special colors, textures, backgrounds, fonts, incorporating analytics, search engine term analysis, all these things, and who maintains the site later on, and ultimately the expandability of the site. So all these things determine what it's going to cost. People often ask, well, what tools do I use when I work on sites? Well, I use Microsoft Office 2003 Professional. I like it, and it works. I see no reason to be up with Microsoft's latest and greatest stuff, because I can do everything I need to do Office-wise with those. The heart of my tools, though, are the Adobe Creative Suite, and it's the CS4 version. If you went out today and bought CS6, if you could still get it, it would be about $1,900, incorporating Photoshop, Fireworks, Flash, Dreamweaver, InDesign, all these various tools. And Adobe has now recently changed their licensing to be a month-by-month licensing. This is something that I don't know whether it'll work or not. It doesn't strike me as being a good thing. Whether Adobe will cave into some pressure and offer a buy-once license like they did before or not, I don't know. But anyway, that's what I use, is the CS4 suite there. I also use Premiere Elements, both 9 and 10, for the video work, and when I'm doing just some WYSIWYG stuff on the sites, I use Adobe's Contribute 4 and also CS3, and I've got dozens of other utility programs on my computer. So what's it going to cost? If you build your own website, next to nothing. Go out and buy a book, HTML for Dummies. I'm not saying you're a dummy. I'm just saying that the Dummies version books are very good books, and it'll take you through what you need to know to build a website. Go out, start typing in your HTML code, and build your website. Don't need any special software. If you're the kind of hands-on person, likes to do the stuff yourself, you can do it. But it takes a long time. So if you go out and buy some web design software, it's going to be spendy. As I just pointed out before, even if you take the month-to-month Adobe license over the course of a year, you're going to be looking at quite a few $100s. Training courses to learn how to use all those very elaborate softwares are also going to be spendy. And you can then go out and hire a freelance web designer as well and save yourself the trouble. So it all depends on which approach is correct for you. And again, people are always asking me, well, well, how much is it going to cost if I go through you on this stuff? So here's some very, very rough pricing, and I just put this in here for information only, and not to say that this was the way it'll be, but assumption on some of these things is that you're hosting with webmasters and going as an add-on domain at $5 per month. That would be going through me for that hosting then. If you want to put up a WordPress blog with up to 3 emails, and I instruct you on the basics and you take it from there, that's $100 to do that. Put that up on your domain, and then you take it over. There's a turnkey site, $300, where I build a site of about up to 5 normal pages, not pages that go on forever in a day, on my choice of host, and you pay the hosting fee. It'll generally be about, say $100 per year for the hosting or something like that, maybe less. Or we can do it at a consulting rate of $25 per hour, where I consult and you take it from there. I'll just kind of give you some guidance there. If you want to use the CMS, about $650 plus any licensing fees that might be incurred with the CMS or the modules that get put onto the CMS. About 8 normal pages, 10 emails with simple PayPal if you're using that. And then if you want to do a custom Dreamweaver site, starts at about $1,000 with a good selection of various bells and whistles that are included in that. Now, before I wrap up here, I had to mention something near and dear to my heart. But has anyone heard of Heathkit or Heathkits over the years? Ah, you on the right. Yeah, okay, great, super. Well, Heathkit, for anyone who hasn't heard of them, made electronic kits. They were really big in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And then in the early 90s, because of so much stuff that was being brought in from the Far East there, Heathkit just couldn't compete in putting out kits. And so at any rate, so they stopped producing them and stuck with the education, and then finally folded and filed for bankruptcy. So everyone thought they were gone, but at the end of May, the Heathkit site got reactivated looking like this. And we all wondered, what in the world is going on? Well, it looks like not much. In fact, even the FAQ in that lower right-hand corner wasn't there. But what was discovered was that if you hover right around over that postage stamp there in that area, you get a link to a survey, a very extensive survey, asking what types of kits you might like to build, what you'd like to see Heathkit do if they come back, and all this stuff. So this is very, very exciting. So even if you haven't built Heathkits, you may know somebody who has in the past. And this is a really great thing, because we've gotten to be such a couch potato consumer culture, and there's actually a movement out there called the maker movement, where people are wanting to take things back into their own hands and design things and build things and get their hands on stuff and all that. And so this is really a perfect time for Heathkit to come back. So somebody has got control of it there and intends to bring it back. So they could use our support. So please pass the word on this, and if you're inclined, go fill out their survey. So in wrapping up here, I'll put up one of my favorite slides here. Very empowering slide, which I use in many, many of my presentations. If not us and not them, if not now, then when? If not here nor there, if not this world, then where? So whatever your dream is, move on it now. There'll never be a better time to start moving forward with your dreams, your website, whatever it is, than now. Whether you call me, whether you call somebody else, whether you do it yourself, doesn't matter. Just start moving forward now. No doubt there's many questions I've tried to address the most common ones here today, but if you've got other questions, please drop me an email, info@soundmindbodystudio.com, and I will get back to you and try to answer that question. So I thank you very much for watching, becoming empowered, and visit my website. It's not a very complex website at the present time over at Sound Mind Body Studio. I've got other sites as well, but that's the one we're aiming at with this presentation. And check it out. And if you've got any questions, let me know, and I will then enhance the site. And I look forward to meeting you and doing business possibly in the future. Have a great one.